40% of marriages in the US face intimacy problems. Problem lies deeper in Pakistan. And 25% divorce rates increasing by 30 to 40% in marriages disconnected, even though they are physically together. The solution, Islamic perspective. Couples seeking therapy, transform your marriage. The emotional and physical aspects to address these intimacy issues. Intimacy in marriage is one of the most pressing issues in today's world. Did you know that nearly 40% of marriages worldwide experience intimacy problems, leading to emotional disconnect and even divorce? Whether in the Eastern culture or the Western culture, intimacy issues are becoming a global crisis. But here's the big question. Why is this happening? And what can we do about it? Especially from an Islamic perspective. So let's face it, relationships are tough. And when intimacy becomes an issue, it affects everything. The emotional connection, communication, and overall happiness. In fact, research shows that 40% of marriages in the US face intimacy problems, with many couples seeking therapy to address the issue. That was the report by American Association of Marriage and Family Therapy. But what's happening in the Eastern culture? The data shows a similar trend. Married couples report declining satisfaction in their intimate lives. In Pakistan, a 25% rise in divorces has been attributed marital dissatisfaction, with a large part of it stemming from lack of emotional and physical intimacy. That was the report by the Express Tribune. So why is intimacy declining in both Eastern and Western cultures? Why are millions of people in marriages disconnected even though they are physically together? Let's break it down. The problem lies deeper than just physical issues. In fact, there are several reasons for the growing intimacy gap in marriages. Number one is stress and work pressure. According to a report from the National Institute of Health, NIH, nearly 60% of adults in the US report stress from work and or financial issues affecting their personal relationships. When stress levels increases, physical intimacy often decreases. Number two, lack of emotional communication. In a study conducted by the University of Karachi, the News International reports that emotional disconnect was found to be one of the leading factors in intimacy problems. Couples who don't effectively communicate about their feelings and desires often face dissatisfaction in their marriages. Number three, cultural pressure and expectations. In the Eastern world, societal pressure to maintain a perfect image of marriage often leads to emotional suppression, where couples don't address intimacy issues. This emotional and physical disconnect leads to resentment and eventually a breakdown in relationships. The data, global trends. To understand the global scope, let's look at the data. In the US, over 50% of marriages end in divorce with lack of intimacy. Can you believe it? Being one of the top reasons of separation. In the Eastern world, the rise of the divorce rates due to marital dissatisfaction is noticeable. Divorce rates are increasing by 30 to 40% in the last decade. Much of this dissatisfaction stems from the inability to connect emotionally, physically in the marriage. A survey by the Huffington Post reveals that 35% of men and 45% of women in long-term relationships report dissatisfaction in their sexual life, which directly impacts their marital happiness. The solution, Islamic perspective. So what can we do to address these intimacy issues? Well, Islam offers practical and spiritual solutions that not only address physical aspects of intimacy but also promote emotional connection. Number one, importance of dhikr, remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the most powerful tools in Islam to enhance emotional intimacy is dhikr. The Quran states, and those who believe are stronger in love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was chapter 5, verse 54. The remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings inner peace, reducing stress levels and allowing couples to reconnect emotionally. When you both share this spiritual practice, your bond strengthens. Number two, the power of dua, supplication. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphasizes the importance of dua for marital happiness. The supplication for marital bliss, such as the dua from Surah Al-Fatiha guide us to the straight path, helps maintain harmony in marriage. It nurtures both emotional and physical aspects, making it easier to resolve conflicts. Number 3, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam teachings on respect and kindness. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The best among you are those who are the best to their wives." That was the hadith mentioned in Sunan Ibn Majah. This teaching emphasizes that respect, kindness, and emotional support are key to a fulfilling marriage. When you prioritize emotional intimacy and respect, physical intimacy naturally follows. Now, what Islam says about physical intimacy. Islam also recognizes the importance of physical intimacy, not just as means of procreation, but as a source of affection and connection. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, when one of you has sexual relations with his wife, it is an act of charity. That was the hadith mentioned in Sahih Muslim. This highlights the spiritual values of maintaining intimacy within marriage. Now let's look at the global perspective. Intimacy issues are undoubtedly affecting millions of marriages, but Islam provides a roadmap for addressing them. The combination of spiritual practices like dhikr, supplications for marital happiness, and the teachings of respect and kindness of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ supports that works on both emotional and physical levels. To tackle the problem, focus on strengthening your emotional and spiritual connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course your spouse as well. Make lots of dhikr, make dhikr a habit. Regularly pray together and follow the Prophet's ﷺ advice on kindness and respect. These practices can transform your marriage into a source of peace, love, and happiness. Marriage is not just a contract, it's a partnership built on emotional, physical, and spiritual connection. So if you're facing intimacy issues, don't just look for solutions in therapy or medication. Look to your faith for guidance. If you found this information helpful, share it with others who might be struggling in their marriages. Let's bring attention to how Islam offers timeless solutions to modern problems. And remember, the path to a strong marriage starts with faith and connection. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.